We're kicking off today with SmackDown as Paul Heyman made his long-awaited return to TV, exciting fans about what's next in the Bloodline saga, which will also see involvement from CM Punk. Heyman returned to reveal Punk as the fifth member for the OG Bloodline at Survivor Series War Games 2024, but a moment after SmackDown may have teased a major betrayal. In the off-air video, Heyman hugged the Usos at ringside but did not interact with Roman Reigns, leaving some to believe that Paul will betray the OTC. Even during SmackDown, Heyman stood on the apron and didn't step in the ring when Roman and Punk stared each other down, and him not embracing Reigns has surprised the fans. It certainly suggested that the wise man may no longer share the same admiration for Reigns that he once did, otherwise he would have met and reunited with Reigns personally. Another major takeaway from the off-air segment is that Heyman didn't accompany Reigns backstage, but walked away with CM Punk following his group hug with Jimmy and Jay. As Heyman made his way to the back with Punk, Reigns appeared to be surprised, and it suggests that Heyman may be giving preference to the Chicago-made star over the OTC. Reigns' reaction showed that Heyman's actions may not seem normal to him, and after walking away with Punk, perhaps this is a sign that Paul is ready to walk away from Reigns for good. On Instagram, Punk continued to fuel speculation as following their SmackDown reunion, he shared an image of himself and Heyman from long before Paul managed Roman Reigns. Perhaps Punk is indicating a return to his time when Heyman worked with him and not the Bloodline, a time that saw Punk rule over WWE as WWE Champion. Paul Heyman may be back, but there's plenty of questions about his role, and we'll have to see what role he plays this weekend at Survivor Series War Games in Vancouver. At AEW Full Gear, Jon Moxley defeated Orange Cassidy in the main event to retain the AEW World Championship, and after the match, took things to a new level by putting cleaner down OC's mouth. This attempt to poison Cassidy was cut short as Hangman Page arrived with a chair to take out Wheeler Yuta, and Christian Cage laid out the AEW World Champion. In a twist, Page handed Cage the contract for a world title shot, and the Canadian was poised to cash in until Jay White stopped him, and the Death Riders retaliated, taking out White. In true AEW fashion, Darby Allin delivered the most shocking moment of the night as he crashed a car into Moxley's vehicle as the champ and his faction tried to escape. Many were left confused as to what the ending of Full Gear means in the long term, and according to PW Insider, it was done to show the number of challengers Moxley has for the world title. AEW is no stranger to dramatic stunts, and while some may have predicted that a stuntman was involved to keep things as safe as possible, that was not the case. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Brian Alvarez shared that Allin drove the car himself in the chaotic end of the show. He added, "I think he damn near killed himself because he gets out of the car, he's covered in blood, he's supposed to get on the truck and he ran in to destroy it with the skateboard, he slips off the truck, falls, and finally gets up there all woozy. Why did they let him drive the car? Why don't they have a stuntman?" Allin is all about taking risks and powered through the segment bloodied and dazed, smashing his truck with his skateboard in a chaotic end to Full Gear. The segment capped off a night of unpredictable storylines and has set the stage for future events, though fans have been wondering if Allin's stunts and the risks involved were worth it. After all, Allin is one of AEW's top stars, one who has had to have several breaks from action due to injuries, and AEW could have mitigated the risks by bringing in a stuntman for this segment. What's your take on Darby Allin's insane Full Gear moment? Should AEW pull back on these real-life risks, or does this level of intensity set them apart? Share your thoughts down below. Jon Moxley and the Death Riders are proving to be as dangerous as they come, but Moxley showed a somewhat softer side during a brief moment at Full Gear. The AEW World Champion arrived at Full Gear for his title match with Orange Cassidy through the crowd as he normally does, but there was an incident during his entrance. One fan was seen losing her balance during the Death Riders' entrance, and on Twitter, the fan said she fell to her knees after being shoved by Marina Shafir. Moxley saw what happened and made sure to ensure the fan was okay, even giving her a kiss on the head for good measure, and the fan shared she was fine and happy about the experience. Moxley's kind gesture turned what could have been a PR disaster for AEW into an unforgettable experience for the fan, showing he cares about the fans despite his tough on-screen attitude. As for the match, Moxley retained the title against Cassidy, and chaos ensued after the bell, capping off a night of drama and action both in and out of the ring. The shocking assault on Jade Cargill during the latest WWE SmackDown has left fans reeling, and it's been reported that she's been written off TV due to a real setback. In an update from the Wrestling Observer, it's reported that Cargill could be sidelined for at least 3 months and possibly longer due to a legitimate injury to the Storm. This timeline puts all plans for Cargill on hold and raises questions about her availability for Survivor Series, where she's supposed to be in War Games, as well as future shows. There's also the question of her status as a women's tag team champion, and this setback will only fuel the fan theory that the titles are cursed. Cargill's situation has already shaken up the women's US title tournament, as a mystery competitor will step in to face Mi-Chin and Piper Niven in their first round match. Now the big question is who attacked Cargill, and some have pointed the finger of suspicion at Naomi, including reigning WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax. On Twitter, Naomi said that she expects to be flooded by apologies when her name is cleared, adding that she did not try to end her sis, to which Jax said, "We all know you did it." Some have pointed at Naomi's recent embrace of Bayley during a match, and a look that some interpreted as a potential heel turn as proof, but for now, The Glow is claiming innocence. Cargill's setback could impact future plans, especially if her recovery goes beyond the 3-month minimum, and how would you like to see her return booked? Let us know below. At AEW Full Gear, Bobby Lashley won his first pay-per-view match for the company against Swerve Strickland and was a part of the post-show media scrum. His appearance on the scrum did draw some controversy, as MVP accompanied him and made his views clear on some members of the press. When a reporter asked Lashley about his motivations, MVP cut the almighty off, telling him, "Bobby, that's a dumbass question, man, don't answer that." That set the tone for the rest of the segment, as when a journalist from the Believe network asked a question, MVP demanded to know if they had a journalism degree. The reporters shared that they graduated from Full Sail University. MVP allowed them to proceed, but made his disdain for pretenders abundantly clear. MVP wasn't done yet, as when a journalist from the Wrestling Observer posed a question, MVP shut them down by stating, "No, we don't entertain questions from that nerd." This isn't the first time MVP has taken issues with what he considers to be subpar journalism, but this was the most public example of the veteran's issue with the press. MVP's unapologetic attitude did him a lot of good in the Hurt business, and now the Hurt Syndicate and Full Gear may have been a tease as to how scrums will be handled. This conduct may have been controversial to some, but Fightful Select reports that there have been plans for the Hurt Syndicate to dominate a press conference since WrestleDream. Ultimately, those plans were delayed to align with Lashley's debut, which many predicted would be at the October pay-per-view, but came shortly after. What is your take on MVP's fiery exchange with journalists? Was he out of line, or is he just keeping it real? Please share your thoughts and feedback in the comments section below. Now, Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 12 went down this past weekend at the White Eagle Hall in Jersey City, New Jersey, showing the promotion's brand of wrestling and violence. Li Ying Li, formerly Xia Li in WWE, was set to take on Masha Slamovich on the show, but nobody, Li included, knew that this was going to be a title match. Before the match, Slamovich cut a promo declaring she does what she wants as TNA Knockouts champion and put her title on the line on the night. This marked the first title defense in Bloodsport's history, and although Li dominated for a bit, Slamovich fought back against her opponent's strikes and busted the Chinese star open. Slamovich took a guard on Li and threw down a ton of strikes to the back of Li's head, and the referee called for the bell, ending the surprise title match as the champion retained. Masha now has a 3-3 record in Bloodsport, while Li certainly impressed in this huge opportunity, as has been the case since her release from WWE earlier this year. Slamovich surprised fans by winning the title from Jordynne Grace at Bound for Glory, and surprised fans at Bloodsport as the champ is ready to take on all comers. In more women's action at Bloodsport, AEW's Marina Shafir took on TNA Wrestling's Jody Threat, but the Death Riders member did not show up alone. For Shafir's entrance, Jon Moxley showed up with his ally, adding an exciting layer to the match and showing that their alliance far extends what fans see on AEW TV. The match started with both women feeling each other out and a rare dive in a Bloodsport match as Threat jumped on Shafir at ringside, earning the pair a GCW chant. In the end, Jody Threat tapped out after Marina Shafir latched on a Mother's Milk submission, earning a victory over one half of the reigning TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions. What's your take on this Bloodsport appearance for Marina Shafir? Let us know what you think in the comments section. More from Bloodsport as NXT's Karmen Petrovic made her debut to showcase what the women of the Silver brand could do, and the young star did exactly that. Petrovic defeated Japanese legend Sumi Sakai to go 1-0 at Bloodsport and got the win via TKO thanks to a strong kick to the head, ending things long before the 15-minute time limit. In NXT, Petrovic has been involved in a teased romance with Ashanti the Adonis, but was a fighter, not a lover, in Bloodsport, and certainly made a huge impression in her debut match. In the main event of the night, MVP made his Bloodsport in-ring debut when he faced Josh Barnett, a match that had been teased since MVP's exit from WWE. With a 20-minute time limit, neither man was rushing to make a mistake, and the end of the match saw MVP tap out to a chokehold locked in by Barnett. MVP didn't realize the match was over and tried to attack the ref after the bell, which added a sense of realism to the main event of the show. After the fight, MVP and Barnett hugged it out in the ring, and MVP cut a promo to put Barnett over, speaking about Josh embodying the spirit of Bloodsport. MVP earned his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu earlier this year, but it wasn't enough to get the win on this night, as Barnett stood tall to close out the show in Jersey City. Now, former WWE co-president Stephanie McMahon was recently spotted attending UFC 309 with her husband, WWE Chief Creative Officer Paul Triple H Levesque. Shortly after, Stephanie was seen at WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, sparking speculation among fans. Is her visit a hint at a potential behind-the-scenes role, a casual check-in on company operations, or simply a visit accompanying Triple H? According to PW Insider Elite, Stephanie currently does not hold an official role within WWE. Despite this, her presence in the wrestling world hasn't completely faded. She was at ringside for SummerSlam 2024 in August and even opened Night 2 of WrestleMania 40 in April, reminding fans of her star power on WWE's grandest stages. What's next for Stephanie McMahon? Could a WWE comeback be in the works, or is she exploring opportunities beyond the wrestling world? Share your thoughts in the comments below. In 2025, Bill Goldberg will wrestle his final match, ending a legendary career, but it may not be the last we see of a Goldberg in the squared circle. In recent years, there's been a lot of attention on Gage Goldberg, the 18-year-old son of Bill, who is currently a linebacker for the Colorado Buffaloes at the University of Colorado Boulder. Speaking to Sportskeeda's Bill Apter, Gage was asked about possibly following his father's footsteps into the ring one day and said, "I mean, yes and no for sure. Wrestling would be cool and being amped up and everything and having all the adrenaline, but then I also know my place right now is with football. So I'm gonna live this out. I'll see where that takes me. If it doesn't work out, could be wrestling. I don't know. It's a backup plan." Gage already has experience on WWE TV, including being manhandled at SummerSlam 2021 by Bobby Lashley, and was with his father at Bad Blood in Atlanta last month. There's no shortage of wrestling stars who have transitioned to the ring after football, including Gage's father himself, and don't count out the younger Goldberg being a future WWE superstar. Now, Ricky Starks appeared at GCW's Dream On event last weekend, and the AEW star spoke passionately about being frozen out over half a year since his most recent AEW appearance. Starks had plenty to say and alluded to being healthy and ready to work, with his promo leaving fans to speculate whether he appeared without the approval of AEW management. PW Insider reports that AEW not only agreed to Starks' GCW involvement, but welcomed him warmly at Full Gear later in the day. His presence at the pay-per-view was Starks' first time at an AEW event in some time, and while he was warmly greeted, there's still no official word on when, if ever, he'll be back on TV. Starks has risen through the ranks of AEW, but his hiatus this year has done him no favors, and while he may be getting warm greetings from AEW, time will tell when he's back in the ring. Full Gear saw Mercedes Moné retain the AEW TBS Championship against Kris Statlander in the longest women's match in AEW history at just short of 20 minutes. Mike Johnson of PW Insider reports that there was a lot of praise backstage for how the two clicked in the ring, as the chemistry between the champion and challenger electrified the crowd. Moné has delivered stellar performances as TBS champion and New Japan Strong Women's champion, but Statlander didn't make things easy and pushed the CEO to her limits. The match was full of near falls, and on the post-show scrum, Moné reflected on her win and hinted at an appearance at Wrestle Dynasty in Tokyo on January 5th. As for whether the double champion appears, and if she has 1 or 2 title matches, those questions are yet to be answered, but the buzz around her Full Gear match remains palpable. What do you think of Moné vs. Statlander? Was it the CEO's best match in AEW to date? And did the right woman go over? Let us know your thoughts and feedback in the comments below. We mentioned that Ricky Starks was backstage at AEW Full Gear, but he wasn't the only notable name at the show who remained behind the scenes. Legendary photographer George Napolitano and wrestling superfan Vladimir were seen mingling with talent, as was Ringside Charlie, another beloved name among wrestling fans. TNA's Steve Macklin was backstage visiting, as was Danny Cage of the Monster Factory, while Donnie B and his family were there to support Big Boom AJ in his match with QT Marshall. As we mentioned yesterday, AJ Bufumo fought QT Marshall on Full Gear's Ground Zero show, though many fans have taken issue with a viral social media star taking up a spot on the card. To his credit, Bufumo did spend years wrestling before he went viral with the Costco guys, and on Twitter, Taz didn't mince his words when addressing the detractors. It still amazes me. Some hardcore fans are still confused or bitching and crying and moaning that the Costco guy has a match. Wake up! This guy has a huge reach, which basically means he has a massive following of millions. Fresh eyes, folks. It's all about the casuals. It's smart business. It's not about bangers. There's always complaints. People complain nonstop on here because they can. It's easy. Complaining about everything, passing judgment on everyone, it's exhausting, and that's why people are leaving this app in droves. Toxic. When one fan sarcastically asked what Taz's excuse will be if AJ's reach doesn't affect AEW, the legend responded, "I'm not making an excuse at all. I'm explaining why this is happening. Not anyone told me that, just my observation and opinion, which my opinion has been built over a lot of years. I think that's called an educated opinion." Celebrity involvement in wrestling is nothing new, and Big Boom AJ won the match with Marshall in a bout that showed the talents of both men. Now 2024 has seen JBL make a number of appearances outside WWE, and this week the Hall of Famer returned to GCW as the hired muscle for Matt Cardona's stable. Not only did JBL arrive, but he delivered his signature clothesline to Manders, helping the former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion secure the win. JBL has hinted at something big, and his appearances in GCW, AAA, and TNA, and further, have been a hit. And what do you think of the Texans' role in 2024? Let us know down below. Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 12 also saw several NXT talents, including Charlie Dempsey and his No Quarter Catch Crew teammate Myles Bourne. In the 8th bout of the night, Royce Isaacs faced Myles Bourne in a hard-fought match. The action quickly transitioned to the mat, with both competitors vying for dominance, and ultimately Isaacs scored the victory by forcing Bourne to tap out, employing a relentless series of submissions before locking in a decisive chokehold that ended the contest. A seasoned competitor in the Bloodsport series, Isaacs entered the event with a 3-5 record and was determined to give the debuting Bourne a tough challenge in the unique work-shoot environment. Notably, Myles Bourne, competing in his first Bloodsport match, is WWE's first partially deaf superstar. He displayed remarkable resilience and determination throughout the bout. Commentary highlighted his ability to adapt in the ring, using his other senses to read his opponent and craft a compelling in-ring story, earning him significant praise. This match carried personal stakes for Bourne as he sought to avenge his teammate Charlie Dempsey's previous loss to Isaacs at an earlier Bloodsport event. Earlier in the night, Dempsey achieved his own victory, defeating Tracy Williams in a separate contest. And we're ending with Full Gear, and as we saw, Jon Moxley has no shortage of potential challengers for the AEW World Championship, but not everyone is eager to step in the ring with him. During the Full Gear post-show media scrum, Big Boom AJ of the Costco guys was asked about more matches in AEW and whether he has Moxley in his sights. He said, "I think I'm having a lot of fun where I am right now. I think I'm really loving everything that Big Justice and I have an opportunity to do. Again, we've talked about some of the creators we've been with. We've had an opportunity to meet Mr. Beast. We've had an opportunity to meet some of the biggest creators in the world, work with Costco, work with some of the greatest brands in the world, stay in contact with our audience. So there's a lot we're doing right now. So I don't think a championship run is in my future. I think that would take a lot of dedication that I'm not sure I have right now, but you know what? To be here at AEW and wrestle multiple times throughout the year and see where that goes, I think that that's kind of more the direction I'm leaning, but I'm getting a sad face from Khan over here, so..." AJ defeated QT Marshall during the Ground Zero pre-show in an example of AEW appealing to a more casual audience who are familiar with AJ's viral social media videos on TikTok. We may not have seen the last of Big Boom AJ and Big Justice in AEW, as AJ impressed in the ring, but don't expect the Costco guys versus the Death Riders anytime soon. Would you like to see more of Big Boom AJ in AEW? What do you make to him rolling out a potential feud with Moxley over the AEW World title? Let us know down below.